Hello everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Polity Quick Revision series. So in this video, we'll talk about a very important chapter, that is fundamental duties. Here we'll take a look at the list of fundamental duties, the significance, some interesting questions, and many more such things. So without any further delay, let's get started.
So fundamental duties were not present in the constitution back in the day. It was actually brought in during this emergency period. So Swaran Singh committee, okay, under Indira Gandhi when she was the prime minister. This is when it was introduced. Again, if you remember, number 42, 42nd constitutional amendment. So in 1976 was the first time the fundamental duties of citizens were added to the constitution. And then one more was added in 2002. And where have we borrowed this from?
Russia.
Okay, great. Now let's take a look at the salient points, okay? So what are the more important things before we can solve this? So it also gives you an idea on what to look out for. First, I have, can you see this? I could not find a better sort of a picture, but can you see this? This is your Article 51A. To abide by the Constitution and respected ideals and institutions, right? The ideals of our Constitution. So if I say social, economic, political justice, then those are ideals of the Constitution. Believe in that, respect those sort of ideals. National flag ko respect karo, national anthem ko respect karo, right? Okay, and the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle for freedom. So can we say what are the noble ideals that inspired our national struggle for freedom? For instance, during a national struggle for freedom, there are so many things that we fought for. For instance, even we fought untouchability also, things like that. So respect all of these. So we did not just say that we want the British out of here so that the upper, the landed groups, a very small little chunk of people can rule. But we said that we believe in true democracy where every single person, okay, can be treated equally with dignity. All of those, okay, these all come under your noble ideals. Sovereignty, unity, integrity of the country. Okay, defend the country and render national service when called to do so. Okay, harmony and spirit of brotherhood. Right. So, and that is also transcending religious, linguistic, regional, or sectional sort of diversities. For instance, the Kannadigas and the Tamilians, okay, the Madrasis and the North Indians, okay, your Punjab and Haryana, okay, even the Northeast people, all of you are like all brothers. So do not keep all these sort of small differences in mind, and create sort of cleavages between the population, okay, and renounce practices that are derogatory to the dignity of women. Okay, I know this is an important aspect as well. Okay, preserve the rich heritage of the composite culture. What is composite culture? Why is India a country of see, for instance, there is a lot of diversity within India, and there is a lot of diversity even in countries like the US. Okay, are both of us similar in terms of managing diversity, in managing this sort of different diverse cultures?
No, sir, it's different.
And how so?
India is more diverse than the US.
It's
rooted.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
The diversity is rooted deeply in our nation, so than the US.
Okay, but the US, which is true. Okay, I sort of agree with you on that. Okay, I totally agree with you on that. But however, devil's advocate, if I may play so, in America, there are so many different cultures. There are people who speak Spanish. There are Mexicans. There are people from Central America, the Latin Americans. There are the blacks. There are the whites. There are the Indians. There are the Chinese, right? So they also have a whole lot of diversity, right?
But they mostly get along with the Western culture. But here, each individual community wants to follow their own, what do you say, their own culture, unlike the US.
That is very, very well put. Okay, and I'm guessing that is Rahul.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so which one is a melting pot culture and which one is more of a thali or a salad bowl or there's another term that was given in Supreme Court, a mosaic. Just
The melting pot is India.
Sorry?
The melting pot is India.
See, the melting pot is not India. The melting pot culture is your USA. Okay, but your explanation was correct. Okay, your explanation was correct. And this model is India. So for instance, if I just take the thali model, right? See, melting pot is what? This is the pot. Okay, and let's take 1800s till 1900s. The major immigrants were, let's say, the Italians. Then you had the English. Then you had the Germans. Then you had the Scandinavians. Okay, and then you had whoever it is. Okay, you had the Greeks. Eventually, what happens is that the members who move to America, they start losing their older identity and they become more American. Now, it does not matter that, your forefathers were from Italy. Your members were from, what is this? England, Ireland, Germany, Scandinavia, whatever it is. Eventually, you become what is called a white American. Okay, or called a WASP, okay, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, this sort of a thing. Whereas in India, okay, and this is only in the last 100 years. Okay, in India, my model is something like this. A thali model kind of thing. So the Tamilians will be here, the Telgites will be here, you have the Kannadigas, okay, and then you have the tribal culture, you'll have the culture of Northeast, things like that. So, and this is your Parsi community. Okay, Parsis have come from Iran, right? In and around that Central Asian region, right? And you have, so what happens in India is that you can live here for 1,000+ years, right? However, you can maintain your culture, right? It never becomes, you're a one Indian culture. In India, India is a country where each of us is actually a minority in itself. There's no one thing called an Indian culture. There is no one thing called an Indian language. Right? All these diverse cultural elements can come together and be part of India or represent India, but however, without giving up their ethnic sort of identities or linguistic sort of identities or, social sort of identities, right? However, in America, it is sort of a different model where in given 2 generations, they all become the melting pot. They're melted and become, the sweet little liquid kind of a thing. Whereas here, we can be here for another 1,000 years and still maintain all our individual sort of identities, individual sort of cultures, and, making India at least maintain that keep this mosaic of cultures. Okay, maintain the cultural diversity for much, much longer. So India is not a melting pot like America, but more of a salad bowl that was mentioned by Supreme Court in something, or thali model like Shashi Tharoor mentions it, or mosaic again mentioned by the court. So it's like a collection of dishes on a platter, like how we get a thali. So each dish has its own taste, its own texture, like the Parsis bring in some culture, the Telgites bring in some culture, the Kannadigas bring in some culture, right? Or even within Kannadigas, you have, I believe what I'm given to understand is that the North Kannadigas or the North Karnataka people have a different culture in comparison to the South Karnataka people, right? So it's all of their cultures will be, in their own bowl, right? It does not flow to the next and sort of get melted, right? They all belong, however, on the same palette or same plate together. Okay, complementing each other. So there is no one sort of Indian culture. So this is the one. Okay, so I just wanted to give you some perspective of how we can sort of analyze a society. So rich heritage of the composite culture. Similarly, environment ko protect karo, scientific temper, humanism, and spirit of inquiry and reform. Now this is something that I believe is very, very much important. Public property. Okay, let go of violence and try to be the best at what you do. Right? You want to become an IPS officer, try to be the best IPS that ever was. Be a model to the rest of, whether it's your family, your friends, and to the next generation, to your juniors. Same thing, if you want to be a diplomat, be the best damn diplomat of India or possibly the world. So things like that. So this is your fundamental duties. Now, some sort of recommendations were not accepted. Right, the Parliament may provide for imposition of such penalty or punishment, but right now there is no penalty or punishment in case we do not follow a fundamental duty. Is that clear? If I do not follow something, it does not mean you can sort of put a penalty on me. Right. Second thing, no law imposing such a penalty or punishment can be called into question if we go to, if there is a problem with it on the ground of repugnancy to any provision of the Constitution. And second, the third thing is the duty to pay taxes. Duty to pay taxes should be a fundamental duty of the citizens, but that was also not mentioned. There are certain other things that were sort of missing from it. Okay, so having said that, yeah, this is also interesting points. I can remember. Even from one sentence like this, you can have questions. See, unlike some fundamental rights which extend to all persons, okay, whether citizens or foreigners, the fundamental duties are confined to citizens only to the citizens. Fundamental rights, again, there are certain ones that are present for the Indian citizens only. There are some that are applicable to foreigners as well, but fundamental duties are not for the foreigners. It is only for the citizens, right? So I'm assuming that all of you are citizens, right? So it is applicable only to us. And what about, like the TPSPs, the fundamental duties are also non-justiciable. Okay, so the Constitution does not provide for direct enforcement by the courts, right? But however, the Parliament can enforce them by coming up with a legislation. If you come out with a legislation, then that is fine. But by the Constitution, by those 10 points alone in your Article 51A, that does not mean there is any sort of it's not justiciable. Is that clear? So these are the important elements. In fact, like from all of these statements alone, you can generate as many questions as possible. So take a look at some.
All right, guys. So that brings us to the close of our video. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you found the video to be useful. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the very next video.